Hello gamers, Matt Lemke here with True Gamer Goggles, and we are at CharCon in Charleston, West Virginia. It is still October, I think. That way you have, a reference of time. And we are here with Billy Tackett, who has his own freelance studios for primarily comic book art, I'm guessing.
I do a little bit of everything. I do comics are kind of new, which I'll talk about that here in a minute. Do a lot of book covers. I've been doing book covers for the last 13 years. A lot of small press stuff. I do just commission art, personal commissions, profit commissions. Do some gaming stuff. But my bread and butter is just going to cons and selling my prints and T-shirts. I have a lot of T-shirts.
And your prints seem to be a lot of parody. At least that's what I noticed right off the top. Is there's a lot of parody stuff like Luke Skywalker zombie.
Yep. And actually, this is probably the best known. The zombie Uncle Sam. That's the one that people know me for. I did this several years back. What I do is I do what I call the zombification process. I take iconic images like Uncle Sam, Rosie the Riveter, Breakfast at Tiffany's, I think some other stuff. I've done He-Man, Star Wars, like you mentioned, and do them all in a zombie fashion.
You've got Van Halen Spock over there.
Well, it's Jailhouse Spock.
Oh, see, I'm not the pop icon guy. I mean, He-Man I remember, yes. Star Wars I remember, I recognize Spock. So what gaming stuff have you done?
I do a lot of gaming conventions. Just recently got into the gaming. I was commissioned by a company, which I can't say a whole lot about it yet because we're still working on it. But it's a superhero game, Heroes of Metro City. It's going to be coming out. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I'm doing the artwork for it now. I've got 3 paintings I have to get done by the end of the month. Are
you allowed to say who's making the game?
I don't remember the name of the company. Heroes of Metro City is the name of the game. You can probably do a Google search and it pops up. Because they did a Kickstarter for it to get the funding for it, and it just ended recently. And, so it's out there, and you can see, I know there's a website you can look.
Well, you can just do it at Kickstarter because that's still there.
Yeah. And they've got these images of the game. It looks really cool, really cool game. It looks really nice.
Now, is it an RPG game or is it a miniatures game?
I think it's more of a board game, and they use cards heavily. A lot of use of cards heavily in the game. So, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing art for some of the cards.
Okay.
It's gonna be cool, and then it's just straight superhero stuff, which kind of gives me a chance to.
So it's not zombie, not parody.
No, it's superhero stuff, which kind of lets me get away from.
When you said superheroes, I thought maybe you were working for Paradigm Concepts because they have a zombie superhero game.
Oh, really?
RPG. I can't wait to play it. Actually,
I have to look into that. Yeah.
Rotted Capes, if you want to look into it.
Cool.
What covers have you done? So, I mean, obviously you've done white and blue.
Yeah. Covers, I've done I worked in small press for many, many years. I've actually done, probably the best known is a Bram Stoker nominated book, Mama's Boy by Frank Friel. I did a cover for that. That's probably the biggest one. I've actually been in some of Jonathan Mayberry. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He did a couple of nonfiction books based on vampires and zombies and stuff like that. And now I've got some art. Actually, this art is inside the book as well as some other stuff. I was recently in a book by HarperCollins called Vampire Art Now.
Oh, wow.
And they got a couple of my pieces inside.
That's got to be a big deal for you.
Yeah, it was fun. And it's a really nice, well put together, art book. So
HarperCollins only owns like 20 printing presses.
Yes. So I'm out there. It's nothing. I've never been on the cover of Marvel yet. I'm pretty much an independent artist, so I kind of make my own way, So
I would think that's a little bit more fun.
It is. So you don't have to answer to the man. I am the man. That's a very small man, but and I had no intention of doing it. When I first started doing the con circuit, I thought, well, I'll begin doing cons, make network, kind of make some connections, and people started. They liked the work I was doing, like just the general populace, the fans, and so that's kind of what got me into doing T-shirts and prints and.
Oh, I didn't notice the T-shirts. I saw prints.
Yeah. So
lots of prints.
Yeah. So I kind of started doing my own thing.
And so I always kind of try and put artists on the spot. What is your favorite piece of art that's out there? Not necessarily by you, but by another artist.
Favorite piece of art? Well,
that's always pretty tough.
That's a tough. Yeah, it's actually a tough question. Pretty much anything but Jack Kirby. I'm a huge Jack Kirby fan of comics.
Well, that makes sense.
His work on Captain America, and that's kind of what I grew up on, was the Marvel comics in the 70s. Gene Colan, he did Tomb of Dracula stuff. Mike Plume did Werewolf by Night.
Wow, I haven't heard that title in a while.
Actually, I had the. I don't know if you're old for remember the Power Records. They get a 45 with a little booklet. And
No.
You listen to the record, and every so often you would read the text, and you would watch, kind of.
Wow, I didn't know they did that.
And it would go ding, and you would turn the page, and they would go through your ding, turn the page.
Man, the 70s.
Yeah, and you can actually, there's a place online, you can just look at Power Records, they've got Superman, Batman, and you can download the PDFs and actually still listen to the audio, which is...
That's kind of cool.
It's really cool, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty neat, actually. I gotta do that.
Yeah.
I have to link that up.
Yeah, so those guys, the 70s comics guys, I grew up with Mad Magazine and Crack Magazine Crazy and all that stuff, so just all those comic guys.
I remember Mad.
Yeah.
Spy vs. Spy, man.
Yep.
It's all about Spy vs. Spy. What is your favorite piece that you've done?
Another tough. That's probably even tougher. Probably a piece called Rock and Roll. I did recently for a a little show down in Atlanta, Georgia, Contourage, and it was basically I took a guitar head. It's a black and white oil painting. Most of it's oils, and just did a zombie version of a guitar. And it's actually one of the few pieces that turned out better than what I had anticipated, what I envisioned. It just turned out so cool. And I'm actually going to I've got a junk guitar at home a guy gave me, so I'm going to paint the body of the guitar to look like the painting, which should be kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
Elvis playing it?
we'll see. But
Interesting.
yeah, it's. I really want to start doing some more weird stuff, like painting on guitars, or painting on just metal, or just kind of found objects and stuff like that.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There's a whole trend of relic art like that
Mm-hmm.
going around.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of neat.
And it's recycling too.
Yeah. Oh wow, man! Think about what you could do with plastic pop bottles.
Yes, exactly.
People will give them to you. Man, you got a manufacturing nightmare.
Until they figure out that you're making money off of it, then
They'll still give it to you.
Yeah.
I think. What do you do with that pop bottle? I'm throwing it out. Well, can I have it? I'm going to paint it. Sure, man. That's cool. I gave you a pop bottle. You'd be amazed.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you already talked about your roots are coming from the Marvel Comics and the Mad Magazine and that. Where do you get your inspiration from now?
Same places. I've started recollecting the comics I had as a kid.
But it's all the originals. It's not the newer stuff.
No, I don't read any new stuff at all. It's the new stuff is I don't want to say it's bad. It's just
It's changed.
It is, and it's almost too polished, and I don't know.
It's a lot more about the story, the plot line and stuff.
Yeah.
And the character of development.
And as an artist looking at the new comics, when I see the new comics and I see the heavily photoshopped coloring and every page is just laid over the top, all the bells and whistles any colorist artist could do, and it's too much. I like to.
So it's not original enough.
It's almost too original. It's too. I made a good. I talked to some guys on a podcast, and I kind of came up with a good analogy that we were talking about my comic book, which is Dead, White, and Blue, and it's basically got this guy and a couple of characters as superhero zombies or zombie superheroes.
That's funny.
And so what I did, I actually hired. I didn't do the sequential art, but I hired someone to do the art for me because I suck at sequential art. But I did the coloring, and it's basically I want it to be a love letter to the comics of the '70s. So I did the off-white paper. The printing is all it looks like the old school stuff, and it's got fake ads. I've actually got a kind of spoof.
It's even got smudges.
Yeah, and bullpen bulletins. That was in.
Wow.
Yeah,
bullpen bulletin. They stopped doing those in the mid '90s.
Yeah, so it's got ads. But and we were talking about the comics, and I want it to be just very old school and very retro, and it was. And I think they were asking if there was a market for it. I don't know if there's a market. We'll find out because this has just come out. But I think there is because if you look at rock music in the '80s, it got more glam to it. Like late '80s, it was all just shiny and hair and makeup and stuff like that. And then there was this backlash, which was the grunge. It was the exact opposite of glam rock, which was the dirty hair and the flannel and baggy clothes and stuff like that. And I think there's always, when you get too much glitz and glamour, people, fans will eventually
Don't want the other because they're tired of accepting.
exactly, and it'll be a kickback to the almost like primitive, but the older stuff, and that's kind of what this is. So it's a little more scaled back, a little more. It's a little raw.
So this is your first comic book of the series?
Yes, and actually I wrote it, colored it, lettered it, did the cover for it, did all the. Actually, I've got.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Stars
And yeah, I did all the ad art, and hired someone else to do the Kurt Belcher did the interior, and she's got a great kind of underground, old school style. It kind of fits with the story. It's kind of a goofy little story. Over the top zombies and Nazis from the moon, cyborg, vampire, Nazis, giant robots, aliens.
So it's kind of like Captain America.
Sort of. It's definitely got that.
It's got that pull.
And it kind of spoofs it. The storyline is Uncle Sam, Rosie the Riveter, the top character, and another character were superheroes in the 40s during World War II. And the process that turned them super, the side effect was it also turned them into zombies. So the government.
Oh, that's a good twist.
The government hides them away because they found out what happened. The government hides them away, and they're experimenting on them over the next decades. And you fast forward to today. Nazis have been living on the moon, they've come back to Earth with alien technology, and they've taken France over again. And the only way to stop them is to bring these guys back. And what they've done is they've come up with a device that they implant into their brains, which allows them to reason, to be reasonable, but they still look like this, and they still create brains. And so, and it's and like I said, it's very much.
Really cool.
He's like the Captain America character. He's always the spouting off the the patriotic stuff, and with the very speechified everything. It's all, but he looks like that.
It's still really cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of a Hulk. There's the Hulk aspect where they're in battle and they're doing this and doing that, and then they just get this bloodlust comes over them, and they just start ripping arms and legs. And in issue 2, there's a point where one of the characters, they're fighting werewolf ninjas. And the guy beats up a group of werewolf ninjas. With the arm of one, he tore like the arm of one of the ninjas, and he starts wailing on the other guys with this severed arm.
Nice to know I'm not the only one who does werewolf ninjas.
Yeah.
I did them in an RPG once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with the Rifts world at all. It pretty much anything can happen.
Oh yeah, awesome.
You've got superheroes. You've got mystic, you've got earth elements, you've got monsters, you've got dragons, you've got alien races, you've got different dimensions.
And that's awesome. I love that. That's one thing I don't really like anime style stuff, like the artwork or the manga or whatever. But I do like the aspect where in the worlds, there's no boundaries.
Maybe you could do a Rifts comic book.
Possibly. And then that's what I like. I want to put Bigfoot in the story. I can fit Bigfoot in here. I like it.
Eventually,
but I like the idea of just throwing stuff in there.
That's really cool.
And it's impossible to label. I can't label this. Like anime, you can't really label anime other than it's anime.
I think eventually, another 3 or 4 years, you'll be able to label it because zombies are just such a trend.
Well, but it's got zombies, but it's more of a superhero science fiction-y book than a zombie book.
Yeah.
So I can't really fit. And I tell people all the time, it's like, look, if you want zombies and drama, read Walking Dead. If you want zombies kicking vampire Nazi ass, this is where you go to.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole undead. I don't know. I don't know if the undead genre is going to stay like right now. It's zombie heavy and vampires are really popular. So I kind of think there's going to, in the next 4 or 5 years, be like a median that just kind of says we're this. I don't know what you'll call it, but that's where I foresee, because it's certainly not going away. And
no, it's not.
More popular now than it was 10 years ago by far.
And I think it's kind of, I think we've peaked as far as the zombies go. I think we're going to see it kind of go down because it's oversaturated. What's going to happen? It's never going to go away ever.
Well, just this year alone, there was like 7 Kickstarters for different zombie-related board games.
Yeah, and that's too much. I mean, the market is saturated, so I think there's going to be a lull in the genre, and then somebody will come up with something that's really original. Hopefully, this is the one that brings the genre back. And then just like vampires come and go, werewolves come and go.
Yeah, they come and go for decades now.
But they never go away entirely.
So where do you want to go from here?
Actually, we just bought a building, and we live in Florence, Kentucky. So we bought a house or a big building there where it's an old hotel built in 1874. Hopefully by this time next year we'll have a gallery space in the bottom of it.
How many rooms?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 upstairs and.
Oh, so it's a real old hotel.
Yeah. It actually just basically looks like a big house.
It's a mansion.
And this,
It was a mansion back then.
possibly, yeah. It was,
Or maybe a farmhouse.
It was built as a hotel,
Wow.
and it was as a bar, tavern. It probably only had like 3.
That'd be a
rooms.
really cool gallery. You could do a lot with that.
Yeah, so we've actually got an apartment in the back, then we've got the gallery space in the front, which so I've got a little niche carved out for my studio right now, but it's going to be a working studio / gallery / store, so I can do what I'm doing at conventions.
Any teaching?
Maybe. I don't know. I still feel like I'm learning myself, so I'm not really comfortable teaching if I don't know what I'm doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I just always feel like every picture I do is basically, I have this saying, when I work on a picture, that's the greatest picture that's painting that's ever going to happen. It's just going to be the painting in all paintings. And when I'm done, that painting was just practice for the next one. And so I feel like I'm always experimenting, trying to play around.
With any luck, you'll always feel that way.
Yeah, and if you don't, you're going to be stagnant.
You'll be, yes.
Quit growing as an artist. It happens all the time.
Yeah, and it's not something you want to happen.
No.
I mean, I looked at Magic the Gathering. I started playing back in the early '90s, and I ran into one of the artists that did some of the original art, and then I saw some of his newer stuff, and I'm like, I would never have recognized.
Really?
I was just like, you have. I mean, his contrast between light and dark and evil, and good and evil, has just matured so much. It's like I would have never ever guessed.
Yeah.
But well, where can they find you online?
BillyTackett.com, BillyTackett, and if I'm on Facebook, just do a search for Billy Tackett. It's all
Any Twitter?
Billy Tackett.
Billy Tackett. There you go.
Everything's Billy Tackett. Email Billy@BillyTackett.com. I make it simple.
That is simple.
If you can remember it, because just as long as you know my name.
And when's your next show?
Next weekend, actually, doing GMX in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, when's the show after that? Because this might not be done by next weekend.
Actually, I think I'm doing a small one-day comic book convention in Dayton, Ohio. I'm not sure exactly what the name of it is. It's on December 1st in Dayton. I'm not exactly sure what the name of it is, but if you're in the area, it probably should be hard to figure out.
And by chance, didn't know. Oh, that's December. So you're not going to make it to Akron Comic Con?
No. We're about done for the year. So hopefully, I think next year we're going to kind of scale back on some of the cons.
Well, if you're buying a hotel, you're going to need to remodel.
Yeah. That's all done. Yeah. So it's just a matter of getting the gallery set up.
That's got to be an exciting step.
It is. It's scary. Because now we have the.
Now you have, because you got overhead now.
Right? Mortgage. Yes. So and we live upstairs, so it's not just a gallery. It's a.
Well,
as well,
you said your house. So
yeah. So
I gathered that.
but it's pretty scary. So it's. And I think we're going to just kind of next year, kind of scale back on the smaller cons and just do the bigger ones like Gen Con, Dragon Con, some of the other big ones.
So with your gallery, are you planning on having like other artists come through?
Yes.
Or?
Yes.
Wow, that is a big step.
And we live in Florence is in the Cincinnati area, and when we moved there about 10 years ago, I tried to get into doing some gallery work and just had a lot of pushback because of the type of art I did back then, especially just it wasn't artsy enough. So what I want to do is when we do this gallery, I want to bring in artists that, good art that isn't necessarily considered artsy. Like the role-playing game stuff, the fantasy stuff, the comic book
Larry
stuff.
Elmore, Ed Beard.
Exactly.
Well, you probably can't get Williams anymore. The Folios.
Mm-hmm. So just to bring in stuff and the world-class artists that are not.
Ron Spencer.
Yeah.
Ron Spencer. Yeah, there you go. There's one. You guys would get along.
So that's what I want to do. Just kind of bring some different culture to the area of Cincinnati area.
I would think down there some of this stuff would work too, because there's a lot of Magic players down there. This would be right up their alley. And you're not too far away from Columbus then.
Right. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a day trip.
Yep, exactly.
I think that wraps it up unless there's anything you want to really add.
No, just BillyTackett.com. I've always got new art coming up. Got the comic book Dead White Blue Comics. got issue 2s coming out pretty soon. Hopefully by about 3 months.
And are you going to start more comic book lines? Or is one enough?
Jesus, it's a lot of work, man. I had no idea comics were that much work. But we've got 3
It's a book.
issues. Yeah, 3 issues of this, and then I've got an idea for another short comic book I may do. Let's see what happens.
I would imagine the writing gets taxing. It's a lot.
Yeah, because I'm not a writer, so I just
it's a learning
I
step.
can barely put together a sentence properly.
For dialogue though, which a lot of this is, I don't think you need to worry about the whole complete sentence thing as much.
Well, and then I actually did the whole the Marvel way, where what I did sent the script to the artist. I left him a lot of open space where he can kind of do his thing and interpret the way he wanted to interpret the text. And then I took his art and actually put the flavor text on top of that. So I scripted. He did art according to my script, but then I actually fleshed out the story using his art as inspiration. Didn't make any sense at all.
Wow. I didn't think that. I would never have tried to do that.
It was very collaborative, and like I said, it left a lot of, and there was stuff that happened. He'd come up with stuff in the art that I would never.
That you didn't sense. Like you didn't give him the actual dialogues and stuff. You gave him like, this is the scene, one sentence.
Yeah, and there's some basic dialogue, so he kind of knows what happened. But when I got the art back, I was like, oh, I let the art inspire the story. So it was.
So you wrote it all once, and then you rewrote it.
Yeah.
Wow, that is time consuming.
And as an art, I'm not a writer at all. I had a hard time sitting down and getting into that mode of writing. But as a non-writer, it was easier for me to look at the art and just come up with words that fit the art, like the dialogue or the flavor text or whatever. And it was just so much easier. And I think it's come out as a much better piece, as a whole, just more interesting. And that's the way Jack Kirby and Stan Lee did it back in the 60s and 70s.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, they just kind of fed off.
That's all they had. I mean,
so I took their lead, and I like it. It's cool.
So that's good. Well, there you go, gamers, geeks, freaks. Matt Lemke, Through Gamer Goggles, reporting from CharCon with Billy Tackett, and you'll be able to see him next weekend if you're in. I don't remember the city now. It was Nashville. You said
Nashville.
In Nashville, or December 1st in Dayton, Ohio. Have a good day.